Alright, since I got the newest killer to date out of the way, now it's time to move on to the second new... Actually, wait, hold on, what's this? Wait a minute. Trickster buffs? Yeah, we'll pass on him. Sorry, BTS wannabe. You're gonna have to wait. Let's see, who else could I pick? How about... you. Oh god. Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and welcome to the second full killer spotlight. Today, after featuring Nemesis, we're going to be talking about someone who's not the Trickster, because the Trickster is getting buffed, and I don't want to touch him yet, because he might be better. I was going to say some bad things about him, but since I already have bad things on my mind, we're going to be taking a look at this girl. Isn't she pretty? Where do I even begin, dude? Did you know that I got my first 0K in like a long time trying to record this footage? I literally killed 0 of them. Like, I did horrible. Dude, I have recorded some... I had some horrible games, man. But nevertheless, that's also because I'm not a very good pig. The pig... Okay, let me back up a second. If you play at rank 20, any killer can be amazing. Okay? Against survivors who have no idea what they're doing, any killer can be amazing. But against rank 1 survivors, it's a little bit different story. Every killer has their own, niche, their own special thing they're good at. And the problem is with the pig is that all of the things that she can do, other people do infinitely better. And to top it off, a lot of her add-ons are not great. And a lot of her perks are not great. She has one good perk. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about the add-ons and the perks in their respective sections, but let's start off by breaking down the power, and you'll kind of see what I mean when I explain further. The pig's power is Jigsaw's baptism. Forever devoted to her master's cause, she punishes the ungrateful and the guilty with slyness and murders with blah, 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 blah. The pig can move stealthily, dash and ambush attacks, and put deadly bear traps, which breaks down the 3 parts to her power. The first part I'm going to cover is her special ability, Crouch. It's not that exciting. You press control, you crouch down real low, the camera drops low, and you will lose your terror radius because you gain the undetectable status effect. However, you only move at 90% speed, so you move slower. Slow enough for survivors to outrun you. However, with that ability, you can also then cast special attack, Ambush. After a quick charge up, you will lunge forward for 2 seconds. It's like an extended lunge. However, unlike a lunge, and because of the length of the dash, you actually have full control over your movement, so you can run left, right, forward at full lunge speed, which is, pretty fast. The only downside is that you get slowed a little bit more than usual at the end of that lunge. The third and most iconic part of her power is, Jigsaw's baptism. Effectively, she starts the trial with 4 bear traps. Whenever a survivor is on the dying state, aka on the floor because you hit them twice, you can pop one of these bear traps on their head. And they work as follows. When they're first put on your head, they are inactive. They are not a threat to the survivor. However, if a generator gets completed, they will activate and go from gray to red. Red means dead in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The survivor has 2 minutes and 30 seconds, aka 150 seconds, to remove that bear trap from their head. Because if that timer goes off, their neck gets snapped and they die instantly, on the spot. The counterplay here is that survivors have 4 jigsaw boxes around the map with that little creepy doll dude. Anyways, they can stick their hands in that box, and there is a chance that the correct key matches their headset. And if the headset matches, they will take the helmet off. The threat is gone. If it was not the correct box, they get to hear a little jingle, and they have to try again. Effectively, what these helmets do is it creates pressure because survivors won't be doing generators, they'll be trying to get that helmet off. So there you have it, the 3 parts. You have stealth, you have dash move, and you have bear traps. Or technically reverse bear traps. I call them headsets. Moving on, real quick, before I break down into some field notes, I'm actually going to give you some quick math about all of her powers. So let's go.
The following trivia is brought to you by the Dead by Daylight Wikipedia. Make sure to check it out to get the full information yourself.
But that being said, jigsaw boxes. They take 12 seconds to search by default, and every second they have an 80% chance to trigger a skill check. Crouching takes 1.3 seconds by default, and by extension dashing has a 0.75 second charge time with a 2 second duration and a 2 second missed cooldown and a 3 second successful cooldown. Side note about dashing, the first half a second is acceleration, meaning you transition from going 3.6 meters per second, aka crouch speed, to 6.9 meters per second, which is lunging speed. The other 1.5 seconds are full control lunge speed, 6.9 meters per second. The last piece I already mentioned, but it's a 150 second total duration for the bear trap timer. After 150 seconds, neck, go, bye-bye. And lastly, it takes 3.3 seconds by default to put the helmet on their head. And that is all the quick math. Thank you. Next, we have some field notes, just little tips and tricks that I can teach you about her power and how to play her a little bit better. Knowing when to use your helmets is important because you only have 4 of them. If you notice in the beginning of the game that they are plowing generators, then chances are you're going to want to use the helmet the second you get someone down. However, if you are doing pretty well against them, you could always choose to wait. However, you need to use them all before the last generator is completed. The reason for that is because after the last generator is popped, you'll no longer have any way to activate those traps. And I know I've showed this clip a couple times now, but see here, something I forgot to mention earlier is that if you have an active trap and you try to leave, it automatically kills you. If you have an inactive trap, or if you jump through the hatch, then you are safe. No neck snap for you. Despite the slower movement speed, you are undetectable when you're crouched, and not only that, you are shorter than usual. Obviously, from your perspective, you look a lot shorter than what the survivors can see you are, but remember, most killers are pretty tall, and so that extra height that you no longer reveal is actually kind of useful, because you can sneak up and grab people off generators. It isn't mentioned in the Wikipedia, however, when you go to crouch, it'll take 4 seconds in total after your 1.3 second crouch animation for your terror radius to come all the way back in. Your red stain also disappears the second you're done crouching. And on the flip side of that, it'll take 2 seconds for your terror radius to go all the way back out after you stand up, because there's a slight delay when your terror radius appears after you stand up. If you are around the right corner and you stand up at the right time, you can get some nice grabs. Also, really quick, I forgot to mention, you cannot grab them while you're crouched. You have to stand up first, hence me explaining this. If you don't think you can go for a grab though, I'd just recommend standing up and hitting them regularly, because I find more often than not, if you try to use your dash attack after sneaking up on them, they will either sprint burst away, or they will somehow find a way to avoid being hit. So I just recommend stand up and smack them. Nothing wrong with that. And speaking about that last point, when do you dash? If you aren't going to use it to sneak up on someone, then when should you dash? That is a question that requires a lot more experience with the pig than I have. However, I found a lot of success using the dash to take control of a pallet. So what I mean, it kind of looks like this. Let's say that your incredibly attractive wife is trying to loop you around this pallet right here. I found, especially at a pallet loop of this length, that if you crouch down right while you're on top of the pallet, because that way that implies they're opposite of it and they won't be able to slam it down in your face, you can dash. And if you kind of jerk a little, try to fake left, fake right, and then commit to a direction, you can sometimes reach them with your dash, like this. Now, the absolute most experienced of survivors will always find a way to outsmart you. Whether it be them straight up leaving the loop and just running away, or being able to read your jukes, it won't work 100% of the time. But I've found that for the most part, it works decently well. Now that we have a lot of her basics out of the way, let's go into her perks and add-ons, starting off with her 3 unique perks: Hangman's Trick, Surveillance, and Make Your Choice. Hangman's Trick is... It's not that great, let's be honest with ourselves. The perk has 2 effects. Firstly, it'll give you a loud noise notification whenever a survivor begins to sabotage a hook, and secondly, while you're carrying a survivor, you can see the aura of any survivors nearby a hook. And the thing is, the information you gain from this is incredibly minimal, and more often than not, unless somebody sabotages a hook around the corner, you will see them standing at the hook, going to sabotage it, and you'll just walk somewhere else. I just feel like the information it gives is kind of useless and not very good perk, in my opinion. Surveillance is the next one, and it's a little better than the one before it. What it does is whenever a generator is regressing, it'll be highlighted in white. And if somebody goes to touch it, i.e. stop the regression, it'll be highlighted in yellow for 8, 12, and 16 seconds respectively. Not only does it do that, it also increases the range in which you can hear repairs. Now for stealth killers in particular, that last part can be useful. And regression itself is also useful, but personally I find this perk much better when paired up with something that has to do with regressing, such as oppression, hex ruin, things that will cause multiple generators to regress at a time, which will give you even more information, but on its own, it's not horrible. And for the pig, at least, the extra hearing of generators while she's crouching is also pretty useful. And lastly, we have Make Your Choice. Finally, a perk that doesn't need another perk to be good. Make Your Choice makes it when a survivor saves another survivor from a hook, that's at least 32 meters away from you, the rescuer, the dude who pulls the person off, they will be exposed for 40, 50, and 60 seconds, i.e. they could be one hit downed, and it further has a 40, 50, and 60 second cooldown afterwards. This is actually really good for many reasons. One, it's an anti-tunneling perk. It gives you power for hitting somebody that's not the person that just got off the hook, and it makes it, a little bit more fun. But more importantly, it gives you 2 injured states worth of damage when you hit them once, if you find that person who unhooked. This is particularly useful if the person who unhooked has borrowed time, has babysitter, anything that would basically protect the person that just got unhooked. You could just focus on them instead. Now they will know, and they will scream when they are exposed. However, that said, if you can catch them right away, they're dead. This perk works very well on people like Nurse and Hillbilly who can quickly just turn around and go right back to a hook. But make sure you're far enough away when it triggers. And that covers all the perks. 1 meh one good one, and 1 great one. Decent mix. Next, we're going to talk about our add-ons, and afterwards, I'll wrap it up, and I'll also talk about my biggest problem with the pig, which you are about to find out right now. The problem with the pig is that she does not have a wide enough variety of add-ons. She has 3 powers: sneaking, dashing, and helmets, and 80% of her add-ons are for the helmets. Speaking of, let's talk about some of them. You have your status effect add-ons, such as face mask, utility blades, slow release toxin, and rusty attachments. All of these add-ons will cause a status effect on a survivor if they have a helmet inactive or active on their head. Starting in the top left and going clockwise, it'll give you blindness, bleeding or hemorrhage, mangled, and exhausted, respectively. They're all fine in and themselves, but helmets have the potential to be removed in 30 seconds, and then now they're useless. So I'm not a huge fan of these ones. To gain more speed putting the helmets on them, you can choose the bag of gears or the crate of gears. It also increases the amount of time it takes them to search the boxes. For the green bag of gears, it increases the jigsaw box search time by 14%, and it reduces the bear trap setting time by 15%. The purple crate of gears does the same thing, but this time it's 30% and 30% for your search time and your bear trap setting time. Combine these two together and you will literally just slap those helmets on them. To increase the amount of time wasted trying to get helmets removed by survivors, try the Jigsaw's annotated plan, the Jigsaw's sketch, and the tampered timer. Jigsaw's annotated plan increases the number of jigsaw boxes on the map by 1, making a total of 5, but it gives you plus 20 seconds to the death timer. Tampered timer reduces the death timer by 30 seconds, and Jigsaw's sketch just gives you plus 1 box with no penalty. Pick any 2 of these 3 to really mess with them and make them fear for their life. Next, we have these 3: workshop grease, razor wire, and interlocking razor. All of these have to do with the skill checks of jigsaw boxes, and honestly, don't ever take any of these. The workshop grease increases your skill check chances by 1%, the razor wire by 2%, and the interlocking razor makes it so if you mess up a skill check, it'll basically delete your entire progress. I think it's 70% reduction of your progress. The thing is, the base chance for a skill check is 80%. So 1 and 2% are abysmal. And the other thing is, because it's not a great skill check, it's pretty easy to hit the skill checks for survivors. So none of these three are really effective. I wouldn't take them ever. The last two add-ons pertaining to helmets and boxes and all that are the Last Will and the Rule Set number 2. The Last Will just gives you +1 Jigsaw Trap, giving you 5 in total, and the Rule Set number 2 makes it so you can no longer see the aura of Jigsaw boxes until your helmet's turned on. Isn't it ironic that this yellow add-on is probably better than the red one? Also, for those of you who are counting, the past 14 add-ons have to do with the helmets, so I was actually wrong, because there's 20 add-ons in total. 70% of her add-ons have to do with helmets. But still, a little bit of a bias towards which power gets the add-ons. Moving away from the helmets, there's a few add-ons that also affect your dashing. These include the Shattered Syringe, John's Medical File, and the Videotape. The Shattered Syringe decreases the missed ambush attack cooldown by 20%. John's Medical File reduces the ambush attack charge time by 50%, and the Videotape does both 20% cooldown on missed and 50% increased charge time. If you combine the Videotape with the Medical File, I'm pretty sure it'll take 0.35 seconds to fully charge your dash, which is way faster. And before we touch the pig's last two, what I'll call unique add-ons, we'll look at the Combat Strap, the only add-on that affects crouching and or stealth. And all it does is it slightly reduces the crouch time from 1.3 seconds to 1 second. So it shaves off 0.3 of a second. And honestly, despite being a brown, this is a huge add-on and probably one of her better add-ons. Maybe even one of the best. I just wish there were more add-ons similar to this effect, but oh well. And the final two add-ons are Amanda's Secret and Amanda's Letter, both unique in what they do. First, Amanda's Secret. What it does is it no longer allows you to see the Jigsaw box auras yourself as the killer, but in return, whenever a survivor removes a helmet from their head, you will gain a loud noise notification as well as the ability to see their aura for 6 seconds afterwards. As for Amanda's Letter, what it does is it takes away 2 Jigsaw boxes from the map as well as 3 bear traps from your supply, leaving you with only 1 bear trap and 2 boxes on the map. But it also gives you the effect that when you crouch, survivors' auras are going to be revealed within 12 meters. This one basically takes away all the power from your traps and instead gives you a mediocre aura revealing effect on your crouching, which can be useful in certain indoor maps, but overall is kind of meh. Both of her red add-ons suck. That blows. Also, looking back, and for one last time reviewing all the 20 add-ons, I was wrong. My math is incorrect. It's 15 add-ons that have to do with boxes, 3 that have to do with dashing, and 2 that have to do with crouching, now that I have Amanda's Letter added in. And before I give my final thoughts and say goodbye, I will mention some of her best add-on combos. If you want neck snaps, Tampered Timer and Jigsaw Box is actually nutty. 2 minutes to go through 5 boxes really changes the game. If you want dash speed, I mentioned it earlier, but Videotape and John's Medical File or Syringe both make it so dashing becomes a breeze. And lastly, if you want to have some fun, Strap and Amanda's Letter make crouching a little more interesting. So looking back, overall, the pig is not in a great spot right now. Majority of her add-ons affect a part of her power that could be countered in 30 seconds. Her perks are only okay. The rest of her add-ons are okay. And her stealth is outclassed by almost all other stealth killers. If you asked me how to fix the pig, personally, well, I can tell you one thing. Change your add-ons. You know how they reworked all the add-ons for Demogorgon? Do that for her. Change some of her add-ons, take some of the status effect ones away, give her more dash ones, give her more crouch ones. I've also heard people say that they should make rule set number 2, the one that makes it so survivors can't see the Jigsaw box auras. That should be a part of her kit permanently. I'm kind of indifferent about that. I think it's not a bad idea, but personally, I would rather just them rework the 2 red add-ons and make them useful. Another kind of band-aid fix idea that came into my head was something along the lines of any survivor that interacts with the Jigsaw box will have a debuff on them for like a minute that makes them repair slower because they just stuck their hand in the razor, you know? It's just an idea, because then even if they pull their hat off on the first try, at least they'll repair a little slower for a little bit. You know, at least it has some effect, but that might be too nutty, but you know, just my 2 cents. I have 3 badges that I'm going to award to the pig today. The first one being the Omni Killer badge From last video, if you remember, Omni Killer badge is given to any killer that has a power that can do multiple things or affects the game multiple ways. Her power affects the chase with the dashes, the sneaking up or the hunting, the tracking, as well as some stalling of the game or pressure. I will also be awarding her the Sneaky Boy badge because she's a stealth killer and she has stealth. And finally, I award her the Entity Displeased badge because she is just not that great if you're at rank 1. Or maybe I'm just bad at her, who knows. Because her break animation and kick animation are just the standard killer kick, I guess I'll just have to show you just by itself. The Kill Them animation! And of course, here's Ouch animation. I gave her the final rating of a D. I'm not satisfied with her right now. I think she needs to at least have her items reworked, maybe even a couple of other effects reworked. She's not super good at your super high ranks. But then again, every killer can be fun or can be good if you know how to play them and you're against bad survivors. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something new. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Peace.